So while most flagship phones have been getting bigger and bigger to the point that they literally have to fold to fit in your pocket, Apple came out with the iPhone mini, and I've been using this for the past year. So in this video, I want to talk about the design choices, what it's been like to use this, and although this is a video about the iPhone 12 mini, it's really about the future of iPhones, where the design's headed, why they chose to do what they did, and whether or not it's a good thing for consumers. So with that being said, there's a lot to talk about in this video. Like I said, most of this video is going to be a little bit more focused on my experience with the 12 mini, being such a drastically different phone from just about every other flagship out there. Not only the smaller shape and size of it, but also the overall design with the sharp edges and of course the notch on the top, as opposed to the standard fingerprint sensor. So let's start talking about some of the positives I had while using this phone for the past year. The first one, of course, is that you are getting a lot of compliments. Being such a different phone, people always want to know what is it like to use that phone. They think it looks really nice. Of course, it is very pocketable, and I love the overall shape and size of a small phone. This has been my everyday phone, but to be completely honest, as a tech reviewer, I always have two phones in my pocket. I have this as my business phone, and I have my personal phone, which changes pretty frequently. So having a second phone that's a lot smaller has, for that reason, been a really big advantage. But even if this was my only phone, I think it still would be a really good choice because it is so incredibly small. But of course, with that small size, the obvious drawback is going to be that, the display is smaller. If you're watching videos, you have to look a little closer. If you don't have good dexterity in your fingers or good vision, it could be a little bit more difficult. But assuming most people are able to handle the screen size, the other small drawback is going to be the battery life. It's not quite as large as many other phones out there, although it's not nearly as bad as the opposite, the very large phones that fold. Their battery is even smaller than this one. But with that being said, looking at this phone, I found that there are some other things that were kind of interesting about it. The big difference with this one, besides the boxy edges, which honestly I really do like, but the really big difference with this is that Apple included Magsafe. So let's talk a little bit more about what the future of iPhones are going to look like with Magsafe. Why did Apple add that? Was it just a cool feature to have? The obvious answer is no. Apple added that because they're looking further on down the road. So many other phones are, obviously they have wireless charging and that's been around for a while, but there's been rumors that Apple's trying to get rid of their port on the bottom. Now, if you think about what a port is used for, you'd say for data transfer, but you can airdrop stuff, so that's not really an issue, or it's for charging. And you could say, well, you have wireless charging, so that's not an issue. But the real catch is if you want to do wireless charging, you can't be holding your phone. So people that want to be gaming or watching videos with, just a wire plugged in, if their phone's low, they're going to have a problem with that. And that is the first reason Apple came out with Magsafe, or at least that's speculated to be one of the main reasons they did that, is to mitigate this problem so that in the future, probably not yet, but maybe the next iPhone or the one after that, it's not unlikely that we wouldn't have a port on there. Now, what are my thoughts on not having a port? Personally, I don't ever use the port. It's kind of useful if you're trying to dump a ton of photos off of your iPhone onto a Windows laptop, but other than that very specific situation, wireless charging and MagSafe charging I think is substantially better. But MagSafe is by no means perfected here, especially on the mini, which is why of all the iPhones I could talk about in this video, I really wanted to focus on my experience with the iPhone mini. Obviously, we have a ton of different accessories from third parties that came out. Apple themselves came out with a couple MagSafe accessories that were pretty decent, but a lot of them struggled to fit with the mini. It really caused a lot of problems there, which led to the question of why did Apple decide to make a mini if they wanted to do MagSafe? They could have stronger magnets, they could have bigger accessories. A lot of things could go a lot better if they only made larger phones and they had MagSafe. So I want to talk about some of the MagSafe accessories that I really liked and I thought really worked well with this phone, but I want to start off with a bit of a head scratcher, and this is the wallet they came out with. Now, the idea of having a credit card on the back of your phone is that you never forget it. You always have it with you, whether it's a card or a photo ID or whatever it might be. Having that on the back of your phone, you're supposed to never forget it. So having the wallet like this that snaps on, at first you think, oh, that's great. You can have, without having a case, you can have your card on the back of your phone. But then if you want to charge wirelessly, you have to remove it, which kind of defeats the purpose of having it there. And furthermore, as you might have seen in other videos, magnets are great for holding on directly like that. But what they're not good with is resisting shear force. If you push even a little bit from the side, the entire thing comes off. But even more interesting than that, and this is one that I really struggled with having the iPhone mini or the iPhone 12 in general, is the MagSafe I found did affect things like hotel key cards, for example. So if you go to a hotel and you put your hotel key card on the back of your phone, the magnets are going to interact with the magnets on that card and inevitably is going to demagnetize the card or at least alter the magnetization of the card, and more times than not, I'm unable to get into my room. When I go down to the hotel desk, they always ask, did you have this on the back of an iPhone 12? And when I say yes, they tell me I shouldn't be doing that because that's causing problems with their key cards. Now, is that the fault of Apple? Is it the fault of the key cards? Like, yes, I agree that in the future, hotels should be doing more wireless stuff or contactless stuff. Like, for example, using NFC on your phone, I think would be great, but we're not there yet. So for now, that's a major drawback. And that's one of the reasons that the wallet doesn't necessarily make sense to me. But what really makes sense and what I really love are the chargers that also hold your phone up. So of course the desk ones are interesting, but really the best one are the ones in your car. So the ones that you're going to have in your car right now are mostly third-party ones. So you can have like ESR or Belkin or a bunch of other ones that I'll link below in the description. And essentially what you can do is walk in and just snap your phone right onto that. It charges your phone, it holds your phone, and it latches onto your car in a very easy way. So rather than having a pop socket in the back or some kind of weird mount that grabs your phone, like I just think it's a much, much better way of doing that. However, again, because we have the iPhone mini in the lineup, the magnets can't be quite as strong, especially when resisting shear force. Having such a glossy back right here, very low coefficient of friction, means that when I make a sharp turn in my car, and granted, like my car is not that fast, so it's not like I'm really turning hard here. It's not like a Fast and Furious type turn. Just like any sharp turn, all of a sudden my phone will slide off and fall on the ground. That's something I've struggled with the Mini as well as with the 12 regular. So I think that's probably going to be one of the things we can expect in the next generation of the iPhone, which, as you know, is coming out very shortly. Which leads me to remind you, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, I will be reviewing the iPhone, whatever the next one is, very, very shortly. So if you guys want to see that video, definitely do go down and click that subscribe button, click the bell icon so you don't miss it when that comes out. Because like I said, some of the rumors, and granted these are just rumors, some of the rumors have been saying that we can expect a better MagSafe or at least stronger magnets on the next generation, which I think is one of the big drawbacks of the iPhone 12 mini right now, being the weakness of those magnets. So let's get back to the big picture here. I mentioned that I personally really love the iPhone 12 mini, but overall the sales of the iPhone 12 mini have been relatively poor. Most people are opting for the larger and similarly priced phone that gives you obviously a bigger display and a better battery life. So why is Apple making such a small phone that isn't selling really well, and on top of that is causing some problems with their MagSafe, meaning that it has to be tailored to such a small phone, limiting the strength of the magnets? Well, there are really three explanations I came up with. The first one, which I don't think is necessarily the right answer, is that Apple made a mistake. Maybe Apple thought more people would like this than they actually did, and they were just surprised to see that the sales weren't performing well. I don't think this is the case. I'm confident Apple did their research and they probably knew exactly who wanted this phone, which leads me into the second explanation, which is Apple knew who wanted this phone. And although a lot of people don't want a tiny phone, the people who did really, really wanted one. And while many of them were like minimalists or people just had smaller pockets, a big group of people who loved the mini phone were reviewers. I mean, myself included. This was my phone for the entire year. And so when a lot of reviewers love a phone, regardless of what the masses are going to like or be interested in, they're going to get a lot of positive press for the brand surrounding the lineup just from the people excited about this phone. And being that there's almost no competition for the small phone category, it's an absolute given that this phone is going to get positive reviews and best ratings for like the best small phone and things like that. Honestly, I think it's not very dissimilar from Samsung and their folding phone. Are most people going to buy a folding phone? Probably not, but are most reviewers and bloggers and people really in the space that are influencing the buyers going to buy this? Absolutely. I think a lot of people are going to be very interested in the novelty of a folding phone, just like a very tiny phone. So I think that right there might be the positive press that Apple's really going for, despite the sales not being especially strong. So while the sales aren't great for the iPhone 12 mini, people talking about this phone is driving sales for the entire iPhone lineup as a whole. That's my speculation. Of course, there could be other reasons why they did this, but the third reason, which I think eventually is what's going to happen, is while this phone right here is currently selling in the flagship lineup, most people are saying, and I mean, I've been saying this as well, this phone would really perform well as the iPhone SE 3rd generation. If we had a phone that was this size, this shape, this screen, and even a slightly older processor, maybe the A12, A13, doesn't matter, you would be selling this really, really well. If the price was a little lower, people would love this as the iPhone SE, because currently the iPhone SE that's selling is using the iPhone 8 body, which is very outdated, and while it's a fantastic phone, and I've been recommending it to so many people, the fact that there are massive bezels on the top and bottom is no doubt discouraging people from buying that phone. So I would suspect in the next year or two, I really would not be surprised if Apple had an SE model that looked, or at least was sized, similarly to this one. So that's my take on that. Maybe they're trying to design MagSafe around the future of iPhone SEs, but you guys can leave a comment and let me know why you think Apple made the iPhone mini right here. Do you think it's something that is going to eventually become more widely adopted? Do you think Apple made a mistake? Or do you think it's something that Apple is doing really just for that positive press to kind of set themselves up to eventually make an iPhone SE that is this size? But overall, I mean, I love the iPhone mini, and maybe I'm just being a classic reviewer here saying that, but I mean, I personally really like having a smaller phone. I think it's a novel device that is very interesting to have such a powerful processor, such a powerful phone crammed into such a tiny form factor. Of course, the drawback, like I said, is really just the battery and the capability of MagSafe. But other than that, this is a fantastic device. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you like and don't like about the iPhone 12 mini, and let me know what you're excited to see from Apple's upcoming event. As always, like I said, I will be covering this. I'll be talking as much as I can on my Twitter and my Instagram about the new iPhone event, as well as some videos coming up here. So if you haven't already, head on over and follow me on Twitter at Michael Bryan with 2 N's. You can also follow me on Instagram with the exact same handle, and subscribe here on YouTube. If you enjoy this video, consider liking and sharing with a friend. I'm Michael Bryan, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.